Former Treasury Secretary Jack Lew, who was an early endorser of Biden, joins us now in an exclusive interview. Mr. Secretary, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
Good to be with you, Will.
Do you agree that corporate taxes should go back up? Do you think it will be popular, and should any other taxes go up as well?
Well, Will, I have to say that when we were debating corporate tax reform during the Obama-Biden administration, we proposed 28%. And what I heard from the business community was they wanted 25. So 21 was never in the debate. There's certainly room. I think 28 is a perfectly reasonable place for the corporate tax rate to be. And that's what I thought when I was secretary. It's what I think now. Overall, if we want to be able to address the issues in this country that we need to address, we're going to have to make sure that we fix our tax code so that those who are doing the best, earning the most, pay a fair share of taxes. And after the 2017 tax cut, the system got worse, not better.
What about capital gains taxes, Mr. Secretary? In fact, during the Obama administration, the response from the last crisis, if you look from the start of 2010, which was when unemployment peaked, over the next 5 years, wage growth only 2%, S&P 500 returns per annum 14%. And if we look at the recovery so far from this crisis, it looks like the same sort of thing is playing out. Should capital gains taxes go up as well?
So I'm sorry, I couldn't hear your question, Will.
Sorry, Mr. Secretary. I was concluding to say, should capital gains taxes go up as well to make sure that the V-shaped recovery we've seen in the stock market doesn't just go to a few, but is spread out to many?
Look, I think we have a fundamental problem in our economy that income is increasingly concentrated, wealth is increasingly concentrated, and our tax system supports that. Everywhere from the corporate tax rate to the capital gains rate being so much lower than the earned income rate to the way we treat inherited wealth. We don't tax it, basically. So there's all kinds of things in the tax code which would address the unfairness of our economy if done in a balanced, correct way. I think everything I've heard Vice President Biden say fits that definition of being measured and fair. I think you have to look at the substance of what I understand he was proposing. I haven't seen the speech, but I've seen reports of it. You know, he's gone to the heart of what Donald Trump thinks is his strongest case. Who's going to be better for the American economy? And I think he's showed that he has ideas that will restore manufacturing, that will help workers make a decent wage, that will invest in research and development, build a better economy for the future. To me, that's a debate we need to have in this country, and tax fairness and equitable opportunity is all part of that. The first thing we have to do, though, is recover from this economic crisis we're in because of the health crisis. And as the health crisis gets worse because the policy to deal with it has been handled so badly, that's going to deepen the hole that we have to get out of. But let's remember, there were problems going into the COVID crisis. And when we get out of the COVID crisis, the solutions have to fix some of those problems, too.
I mean, some of these numbers are really going up at alarming rates. 7-day infection rate for California up 26%, for Florida up 30%. 7-day hospitalization rate for Texas up 45%, up 43% for Georgia. Secretary Lew, how would Biden get a handle on this? Aren't we already spiking out of control? And how do you think he would approach the economy if we're still in the middle of this pandemic, especially going into the fall where so many experts are worried about a second wave?
Well, first of all, you can only go forward. You can't go back. The mistakes that were made were made. What we need to do is not make more mistakes. We have to make sure that as we reopen the economy, as we get back to normal, we do it in ways that limit the risk that infections will grow and continue to spiral out of control, and to limit the number of people that our hospitals and healthcare workers are going to need to be dealing with. I think that, in the past, Vice President Biden has laid out a very different vision for how to deal with this than the administration has. I think the denial of science, of fact, that we've seen from the White House is beyond anything I've ever seen in terms of bad government policy making. People are literally dying because of it. from the very beginning, Vice President Biden was describing how you deal with a crisis to limit it and then get ahead of it. I think there's no doubt that in January 2021, we are still going to be in a very hurting economy. Congress gets one more shot to deal with responding to the COVID crisis before they break before the elections. There's a lot that they need to do. But when we get back to business in January 21, it's going to be an economy that needs to be fixed and that needs to be set on a course for righting some of the underlying problems. I think that's what the speech today was about. It's also what I think we have to redouble our efforts to make sure people understand the state